Hey everyone, I'm Katie Darrell, and today we are at home and social with Travis Tritt. Travis, thank you for hanging out today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Your schedule is super busy and packed, though, so I appreciate you accommodating Access TV because you're just on the promotion bandwagon right now with this new album. Tell me all about it.
Well, we're excited. This is the first studio album that I've actually done in about 14 years, if you can believe that. And all that basically came about. I made a conscious decision about 12 years ago that I just wanted to focus on the live performance, giving the best live performance shows that we could possibly do. And I just kind of got away from, recording in the studio. I did a couple of live albums, but over the course of the last, 12, 13 years, I just really haven't focused on anything other than just going out and doing the best shows possible. And so when I met my manager that I just hired a couple of years ago, Mike Cheese Brown, he and I started working together. And one of the first things he said to me is he said, I think you've still got a lot of really good music left in you, and you need to write new music. You need to record new music, not only for your loyal fans that have been with you from the beginning, but also for, the opportunity to draw in new people as well.
Right.
And the more I started thinking about that, the more I thought it was a great idea. And then he hooked me up with producer Dave Cobb, which this guy, I mean, he produces everybody, and I love the way his records sound. I mean, he does everything from Chris Stapleton records to Jason Isbell to um, Brandy Carlisle, you name it. It just goes down the list. And he and I started talking about it, and he hooked me up with some of his favorite young songwriters. And the whole project just kind of came together over the course of a few months, and we kind of had a little bit of a stutter step when we first got started because we were scheduled to go in and start recording in March of 2020, and that's
Oh,
when
perfect timing. Perfect timing, Travis.
I know. Tell me about it. So we had to kind of delay things, a few weeks till until we could get, actually back in the
Mhm.
studio and start working on it again. But I'm very, very proud of this project. The
Well,
Set in Stone album is something that I've really, really been excited about for a long time.
having taken that time off from writing, right? So, I mean, over a dozen years, did you fall into writing? Was it like old habit, like riding a bike, or was there a moment where you had to stretch out, limber up, and be like, okay, wait, how does this work again? And
Well, I've never really been the kind of writer that writes all the time.
mhm,
I always go into, if I'm going into record a new album, that's the first step. And I usually put blinders on, and I'm laser focused on just writing the best material or finding the best material
right,
outside of my own writing. Um, that I possibly can. And this time around, it was extremely easy because the thing that I found when I was working with all of these new songwriters that I had never worked with before, new to me,
sure,
one of the first things that practically every one of them told me is how much my music had influenced them when they were just kids, and sort of was an inspiration
yeah,
for them wanting to be as a part of the business. And so I never really thought about that as a songwriter or as a performer over the years. I just never really thought about the fact that there's a lot of people that are going to be listening, but out of that group that are listening, there's going to be a certain amount that are going to be people that are going to want to get into this business as well, either as
yeah.
a performer or a songwriter or as a musician or whatever it may be. So that was really inspiring to me, and it just made the whole writing process a whole lot easier. Plus, these songwriters all pretty much knew that they were going to be writing with me, and they already had a kind of a mindset. What does a Travis Tritt song sound like? And so
What
they
and
already had.
what
And
does a Travis Tritt song sound like? Because I know this new album is very no frills, and I believe
yeah,
the words have been like country outlaw. So when people came in with these songs, were you like, well, that's what you think about me, huh?
yeah, well, they came in with the ideas, and we wrote the songs together, but they had ideas. I know for example, the title cut on the album, Set in Stone. I was writing with Brent Cobb for the very first time. He actually came to my house here in Georgia, and as soon as we sat down and started talking, he said, "You know what, man?" He said, "Here's how I look at your career." He said, "You don't have anything left to prove, really." He said, "You know, you've had tremendous success." He said, "But I was thinking about the fact that your legacy is pretty much already set in stone. But wouldn't it be nice if we could write a song with that type of mentality for everyday ordinary people, no matter what your
Mhm.
background is, to look back over your life and look back over your accomplishments and find something that you can say, you know what, that's my legacy, that's what something I'm very proud of." And it could be something as simple as, raising a family, um, which is not simple a lot of times, you know but raising a family or starting a business, or keeping the family farm up and running, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
And just look back over the years, and just say, if nothing else, I would like that written on my tombstone, that he accomplished this. And so we started thinking about that particular idea, and we wrote the song set in stone in just a matter of about an hour or so. And so it all came together, and pretty much every other song on this album came together pretty much that same way. It was really a great experience for me.
Well, let's talk about some of the accomplishments that you have under your belt. All right. 2 Grammys and 4 CMA awards.
Hmm.
I want to talk about the difference of the different award ceremonies. What is it like to go to the Grammys compared to going to the CMA awards? What's the different vibe? Were there jitters with one versus the other? Can you tell me about those two different experiences?
Back in those days when I was first getting started, back in the late '80s, early '90s, um, I think the award shows all the way around uh, had a lot more, at least to me, they had a lot more uh, integrity to them, and they carried a lot of weight,
Mhm.
especially if you're trying to get started in the business. That's the thing. Those type of accolades really kind of puts you in a different level. And the competition part of it, I never really cared for, quite frankly. I just wanted to do the
Unless
best
you
music.
won, then it was great.
Well,
Don't mind if I do.
you always hear the same thing from everybody. Is, well, it's just an honor to be nominated. That's bull.
I want some hardware to take home with me tonight, right?
That's right. Nobody remembers nominees. Only people remember are the winners. But it was a great experience, and it all happened very quickly for me. I won back in those days. The new artist award for the CMAs was called the Horizon Award, and I came out in '89.
Mhm,
In 1989, Clint Black won it that particular
mhm,
year. In 1990, I was nominated with a great group of people. Garth Brooks won that year, and then the following year in '91 is when I won it, and that really kind of catapulted my career off in a drastic, major way, because you're recognized as, out of all the people that came out in that class of '89, Garth, Alan, Clint, all those people. Um, it just kind of sets you apart, and it was a great honor. The Grammys, once again, one of the most um, thrilling experiences I've ever had in my life was to win those 2 Grammys, and just be accepted, because that's voted on primarily by your peers
mhm.
in the industry. And uh, I don't think there's a greater honor than to be nominated, and to be especially to win a Grammy award. So that's one of the things back in those days, especially. Uh, they just carried so much weight and so much integrity, and it added integrity to my career.
Let's talk about that class of '89 that you mentioned. I mean,
Yeah,
talk about a powerhouse, right? So Travis Tritt hits the scene. Boom. Thank you very much. Garth Brooks, Clint Black, Alan Jackson. Was there
yeah.
competition? Or was it camaraderie? Like, I mean, were you kind of be like, oh, what do you mean Garth booked such and such tour or this out? I mean, what was it? I mean, because I mean, you guys are also young too, and there's a lot of like that machismo going on, right?
Yeah, that well, everybody wants to be, do the best that you possibly can.
Hmm.
And it was extremely competitive back in those days. I think probably more competitive than it is now. Today I watch, some of these award shows and this, that, and the other. And one of the things that I'm kind of jealous of with the new artists today, as opposed to the artists of that particular era, is that there just seems to be a whole lot more camaraderie.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something that I'm just imagining, but it just seems that there seems to be a whole lot more camaraderie and unity amongst the artists of today versus the competition side of it. Maybe that's something that maybe the competition is still there. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
But back in those days, yeah, it was pretty competitive. I remember in particular, um, uh, I was at the CMA Awards, and our buses were parked in the parking lot, and Alan Jackson had just come out with Don't Rock the Jukebox. And that was back in the days when we had those old Silver Eagle buses that had the little placard up at the top that you could change the whatever it said,
Sure, like a marquee.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. And so I had a special one made just prior to the award shows because I was nominated as well. And I had one made that said jukebox rocker. And my bus ended up being parked right next to Alan Jackson's
So
on that
great.
particular award show. But it was all in good fun, and we had a great time, and we had a great relationship between all of us that were part of that class of '89, because that particular year made such a huge impact on country music as a whole. I know prior to '89, country music, for whatever reason, had lost millions of sales compared to what it had been just a few years prior. And in 1980, between 1989 and 1991, it increased. The sales of country music increased from whatever they had been prior to that year by almost $1 billion. And between 1991 and 1993, they doubled again. So I'm very thankful to be a part of this business. I'm thankful that my career happened, but I'm extremely happy that my career happened at the timing that it did, at the time that it did, because once again, timing is everything.
Mhm.
And just being a small part of that class of '89
Right.
with so many people that really changed country music forever. And we all got to play a part in creating the wave that we all got to ride on top of like a
Mhm.
surfboard, for the rest of our careers, and still riding on it, quite
Well,
frankly.
that was a time when country was very mainstream, right? I
Yes.
mean, that was, I mean, listen, everyone had cowboy boots. Yeah. Oh, we're going line dancing. People that didn't listen to that genre all of a sudden were, toe tapping, drinking whiskey, and ooh, I like country music.
Yeah.
So what a perfect time to be in country music at that time.
It really was. And it was the biggest resurgence, even bigger resurgence, that we'd seen in country music since the urban cowboy days, which that was another time that really
Right.
things really increased dramatically. But we really hadn't seen that. I mean, we saw it to a certain extent with, guys like Randy Travis and Dwight Yoakam and
Mhm.
Ricky Skaggs and some of the others that came out in the mid '80s. But '89, man, it was like sitting on top of a rocket ship and lighting the fuse and just waiting to blast off. It was really an incredible time.
Now, you're self-taught on the guitar. I think you taught yourself around the age of 8. Are you self-taught on the banjo as well, or is that something you took lessons for?
No, I just learned. I had a bluegrass band when I was in high school, and the guy that played banjo for our bluegrass band is a guy by the name of Mark Fields, and he was a Georgia champion banjo player several years, and I just basically learned from just watching him. And then, when I started getting interested in the banjo even more, was when I first got started with, doing shows after we started releasing records on a major label. And I just wanted to throw that other influence out there and let people know that, bluegrass music, along with straight ahead country, along with southern rock, along with blues, along with gospel, all of those genres of music had influenced me tremendously ever since I was just a kid. So I wanted to include that, and I just started just sitting down and just playing and learning to play the banjo pretty much the same way I learned how to play guitar, just listening to records over and over and over again and trying to duplicate or emulate the things that I was hearing because I played strictly by ear. So that was a great experience. I really enjoyed it.
Looking at banjos, I would interpret that as more difficult than a guitar because the picking is very precise. So a missed
Yes.
note is I mean, if you miss it, it can be silent. You full on missed it.
Yes,
Is that correct? Do you think that
it is
banjos
correct.
okay.
It is correct. I think bluegrass as a whole is you can be sloppy in a lot of different types of music,
Yeah.
but you can't be sloppy in bluegrass, no matter what instrument you play. It's very precise. That three finger roll that Earl Scruggs perfected way back when is something that was probably the most difficult part of learning to play banjo for me. The roll, the forward roll, the reverse roll, the pinches and the just the gaps. But it helped me not only um, to become a better banjo player, but it also I found later on it helped me actually be a better guitar player because that claw type style
Yeah.
can be also transposed over to playing guitar as well, and I use it a lot when I play guitar, even to this day.
For those of you just joining us, I'm Katie Darrell, and we are at Home and Social with my guest Travis Tritt today. The new album is called Set in Stone. You mentioned that you hadn't released a new original album in almost 14 years until
Yeah,
this one.
that's
You were
correct.
concentrating on the live shows.
Mhm.
What makes a good live show for you? What do you like to see? What entertains Travis Tritt?
That connection with the audience, I think, is the biggest thing. I've always looked at it like from an artist standpoint, I try to take the audience on a roller coaster ride,
Mhm.
and it's got, highs and uphill, climbs and downhill stuff. And then there's some stuff where it just kind of glides through the middle, but it's an experience. And that big ball of energy that goes back and forth between the stage and the audience is something, it's like a drug for
Mhm.
me. And I think most artists would tell you the same thing. It's something that is an adrenaline rush like I have never experienced any other place. And especially after going through the past year that we've gone through, where, that was taken away from us from several months,
Yeah.
um, many months. I find myself jonesing for the opportunity to get back out there and start doing that again. And I think the audience is feeling kind of the same way. We've been a little bit luckier than most. We've had the opportunity to do quite a few shows starting last late fall, early winter of 2020, and then all through up until now, and we're just now starting to see things really start to open back up a lot, almost back to normal. But that experience, because I've been like a caged animal at home, for the last year, and to not have the experience, not have the ability to go out and do that live concert experience,
Yep.
bring that to the fans and have them bring it to me. And once you get that big ball of energy going back and forth, there is absolutely nothing on this planet that replaces that. Nothing I would rather do than be a part of a live performance.
Well, the big ball of energy is coming your way because this summer and fall you have so many tour dates. Tell me a little bit about the Travis Tritt tour to support the new album,
We
Set
are
in Stone.
doing, right now, we are doing a bunch of just kind of individual dates, headline dates.
Hmm.
Starting just in a couple of months, we're going to be going out actually with Brooks and Dunn in the fall. And we're doing 20 or so dates, I think, with Brooks and Dunn. And then right after that, I think we're going to try to go out and do some shows with Leonard Skinner late in the year. So we're going to be working constantly. We're going to be coming to a town near you, hopefully very soon. And for anybody that wants to find out about when I'm going to be playing close to their town, if you'll just go to travistritt.com, our tour page, and it constantly is being updated with new tour dates, and you can find out everything that's going on as far as our tour is concerned by just going to www.travistritt.com.
Wonderful. Travis Tritt, the new album is called Set in Stone. It is available now. Tour dates are up on travistritt.com. Did I check all the boxes? Anything I'm missing?
I don't think so. I think you checked them all.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much. It's good to talk to you as well.
Stay safe.
You too.
Hey there. Thanks for watching Access TV. Subscribe, follow, like, and do all the good stuff. And make sure you leave a comment below. I don't know. Just let us know what your favorite Access TV show is, or who your favorite bands are, and what artists you're into, or just say hi, man. I'd like to be told hi. We love hearing from you. That's the point, all right? Keep it coming.